A homeless woman returns a mafia boss wallet. What happens next is shocking. This story begins on a cold, gray evening in the heart of a busy city where thousands of people passed each other every day without truly seeing one another. Cars moved slowly through traffic, streetlights flickered on, and the smell of coffee and dust mixed in the air. Near an old bus stop, where paint peeled from the metal bench and broken posters clung to the walls, a homeless woman named Lily prepared for another long night. She wrapped her thin shawl tightly around her shoulders, trying to protect herself from the sharp winter wind that cut through her clothes like a knife. Life had not always been like this for Lily, but fate had slowly pushed her into a corner she never imagined she would stand in. Lily once lived a simple but peaceful life. She had a small home, a loving husband, and dreams that felt reachable. But everything changed when her husband became seriously ill. Hospital visits, medicines, and treatments took all their savings. When he passed away, Lily was left alone, broken, and buried under debt. Relatives slowly disappeared, friends stopped calling, and one day she found herself on the street with nothing but a small bag of clothes and painful memories. Even then, Lily refused to beg. She collected empty bottles, cleaned shop entrances at night, and accepted small kindnesses when they were offered. What she never let go of was her self-respect and the values her parents had taught her, especially honesty. That evening, Lily was walking slowly near a row of cafes, looking for bottles thrown away by careless customers. Her feet ached, and her stomach growled from hunger she had learned to ignore. As she bent down near a black luxury car parked by the sidewalk, something caught her eye. Lying near the front tire was a wallet, dark brown and clearly expensive. At first, Lily thought it was empty, but when she picked it up, she felt its weight. Her heart began to beat faster. She had not held something this valuable in years. For a moment, she simply stared at it, feeling the smooth leather under her fingers, feeling the temptation rise like a dangerous wave. Lily slowly opened the wallet, just enough to see what was inside. There was a thick stack of cash, credit cards, and an ID card neatly placed in a slot. When she saw the name on the card, her breath stopped. Even someone living on the streets knew that name. It belonged to a mafia boss, a man people spoke about in whispers, a man known for power, control, and a dangerous reputation. Lily's hands began to shake. She knew that keeping the wallet could change her life overnight. With that money, she could eat well, buy warm clothes, maybe even rent a small room. No one would blame her, she told herself. After all, the rich never noticed what they lost. But another voice inside her was louder. It reminded her of her mother's words, "If you lose your honesty, you lose yourself." Lily closed the wallet quickly, fear and confusion fighting inside her heart. She imagined what could happen if the owner thought she had stolen it. She also imagined the kind of person she would become if she walked away with something that was not hers. Standing there under the streetlight, Lily realized that she had already lost almost everything, but her honesty was the one thing she still owned. Inside the nearby cafe, the mafia boss sat at a corner table, wearing a simple coat that hid his authority but not his presence. People around him did not know who he was, but they felt something heavy in the air. With him were Ava, his loyal assistant who noticed every movement in the room, and Grace, his calm and intelligent lawyer who always thought 3 steps ahead. They were discussing business quietly, trying to keep a low profile. The mafia boss rarely came out without reason, but that night he wanted a break from his guarded life. For a few moments. He wanted to feel like a normal man sitting in a cafe. When the waiter brought the bill, the mafia boss reached into his pocket, and froze. His wallet was gone. His eyes darkened, and Ava immediately sensed danger. She stood up slightly, scanning the cafe and then the street outside through the glass window. Grace remained calm, but her mind was already calculating possibilities. The wallet contained not just money, but information that could cause serious problems if it fell into the wrong hands. The mafia boss said nothing at first, but the silence around the table grew heavy. Outside, Lily stood near the cafe entrance, holding the wallet tightly. Fear crawled up her spine, but she forced herself to move forward. Every step felt heavy, as if the city itself was watching her. She knew that once she crossed that door, there was no turning back. People inside the cafe looked at her worn clothes and tired face, their eyes passing over her without interest. But Lily did not stop. She walked straight toward the table where the Mafia boss sat, unaware that this single moment would change her life forever. As Lily stood in front of the table, the quiet inside the cafe became heavy, as if the air itself was holding its breath. People nearby pretended to focus on their coffee cups and phones, but their attention was fixed on the strange scene unfolding. A homeless woman standing before three well-dressed individuals was not unusual in the city, but something about Lily's posture, straight, calm, and respectful, made this moment different. She gently placed the wallet on the table with both hands, as if returning something sacred. Her voice was soft but clear as she explained that she had found it near the parked car outside and believed it belonged to the man sitting before her. She did not mention the money inside or the name on the card. Only that it was not hers to keep. The Mafia boss slowly lifted his eyes to look at Lily. He had spent his life reading people, understanding lies before they were spoken, sensing danger before it appeared. In Lily's face, he did not see fear of punishment or hope for reward. What he saw surprised him, dignity mixed with exhaustion, honesty shaped by suffering. Ava's hand moved slightly, ready to act if needed, her instincts warning her not to trust anyone so easily. Grace leaned back, watching closely, noting every small detail, the way Lily avoided eye contact not out of guilt but out of humility. The Mafia boss opened the wallet slowly, his movements deliberate. The cafe felt even quieter as he checked its contents, confirming that nothing was missing. Lily stood silently, her hands folded in front of her, waiting. Her heart was racing, but she refused to let it show. In her mind, she repeated the same thought again and again, that she had done the right thing, no matter what happened next. The Mafia boss finally looked up and asked her a simple question: why? Why had she returned it when no one would have known if she had walked away? Lily swallowed and answered honestly. She said she had already lost too much in life to lose herself as well. She spoke briefly about her past, her husband, and how the streets had taught her many harsh lessons, but never to forget right from wrong. Her words were simple, not dramatic, yet they carried a weight that money could never buy. For a long moment, the Mafia boss said nothing. He leaned back in his chair, studying Lily as if she were a puzzle he had never encountered before. Grace noticed a change in his expression, something rare and unexpected. Ava, still cautious, offered Lily a cup of hot tea from the counter nearby. Lily accepted it with trembling hands, warmth spreading through her fingers and into her chest. It had been days since someone had offered her something without asking for anything in return. The Mafia boss finally spoke, not with anger or suspicion, but with curiosity. He asked Lily where she stayed and how she survived each day. Lily answered truthfully, describing the bus stop, the cold nights, and the small jobs she found to keep going. As the conversation continued, the tension slowly faded, replaced by an unusual sense of connection. The Mafia boss realized that in all his years of power, wealth, and control, very few people had ever spoken to him without fear or desire. Lily stood there with nothing to gain and nothing to hide. That realization unsettled him more than any threat ever had. Around them, the cafe returned to its normal rhythm, but for those at the table, the world had shifted slightly. What began as a simple act of returning a lost wallet had turned into a moment of truth, one that would soon lead to consequences no one in that cafe could have imagined. The Mafia boss listened to Lily in silence, his eyes never leaving her face, as if he was trying to understand a language he had almost forgotten. Her story was not dramatic, yet every word carried the weight of real suffering and quiet strength. He had grown up in a world where people took whatever they could, where survival meant being smarter, faster, and sometimes crueler than others. Hearing Lily speak about honesty as her last possession stirred something deep inside him, something he had buried under years of hard decisions. Grace noticed the shift in his posture, the way his shoulders relaxed slightly, and she understood that this moment was becoming more than a simple conversation. Ava, though still alert, began to sense that Lily was not a threat, but a mirror reflecting a truth they rarely faced. The Mafia boss asked Lily to sit down, an invitation that shocked her more than fear ever could. She hesitated, unsure if it was allowed, unsure if this kindness was real. When she finally sat, carefully placing her worn bag at her feet, she felt out of place among polished tables and clean floors. Yet no one pushed her away. The Mafia boss asked her about her daily routine, how she managed illness without money, how she protected herself at night. Lily answered honestly, explaining the small tricks she had learned on the streets, the kindness of strangers that came and went, and the loneliness that never truly left. As she spoke, Grace felt a tightening in her chest, realizing how easily society ignored people like Lily, walking past them as if they were part of the pavement. The Mafia boss glanced at Ava and gave a small nod. Ava stood and returned with food, placing a warm plate in front of Lily without a word. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she forced herself to stay composed. Eating slowly, she felt something she had not felt in a long time: safety. The Mafia boss watched this quietly, understanding that power was not only about fear and control, but also about what you chose to do when no one was watching. He asked Grace to step aside with him for a moment. In a low voice, he told her that this woman's honesty had reminded him of his own past, before the world had hardened him. Grace listened carefully, surprised but not disagreeing. When they returned to the table, the Mafia boss looked directly at Lily and spoke with a seriousness that made her straighten her back. He told her that returning the wallet was not a small thing, especially given who he was. He explained that many people would have used that opportunity for personal gain, and he would have never known. Lily nodded, saying she understood, but that she would make the same choice again. That answer sealed something in his mind. In that moment, the Mafia boss realized that Lily's action was not about reward, but about identity. She was someone who chose honesty even when life gave her every reason not to. The cafe lights reflected softly on the window as the Mafia boss made a decision that surprised even himself. He told Lily that sometimes one honest act could change more than a single life, and that she had unknowingly crossed a path that would not simply return her to the street. Lily did not fully understand what he meant, but she felt a strange sense of calm. For the first time in years, she believed that maybe, just maybe, this night was not just another cold evening in a long line of forgotten days, but the beginning of something she never dared to hope for. The Mafia boss leaned back in his chair, his fingers resting calmly on the table, while Lily waited, unsure of what those serious words truly meant. Years on the streets had taught her not to expect miracles, and yet something in his tone told her this was not empty talk. Grace watched carefully, aware that whatever decision was about to be made would carry weight far beyond this quiet cafe. Ava stood nearby, her alert eyes still scanning the surroundings, but her expression had softened, as if she too felt that this moment was different from all the others they had lived through. The Mafia boss finally spoke again, explaining that the city was full of people who demanded respect but rarely earned it, and that Lily had earned his without trying. He asked Lily a question that caught her off guard: whether she was willing to change her life if given a real chance. Not charity, he clarified, but an opportunity built on trust and responsibility. Lily's first instinct was disbelief. Life had disappointed her too many times for her to accept hope easily. Still, she answered honestly, saying she was tired of surviving day by day and would work hard if someone truly trusted her. Her words were simple, but they carried a deep determination shaped by years of struggle. Grace nodded quietly, recognizing that this was not a woman looking for an easy escape, but someone ready to rebuild from nothing. The Mafia boss turned to Grace and instructed her to arrange temporary housing for Lily, somewhere safe and clean, with no strings attached. He told Ava to take Lily to a clinic the next morning for a full medical checkup, not as a favor, but as a basic human need. Lily listened in silence, her hands clenched together, afraid that if she spoke, the moment might break like glass. When she finally found her voice, she asked why he was doing this. The Mafia boss answered without hesitation that honesty deserved protection, especially in a world that punished it so often. That answer struck Lily deeply, and for the first time in years, she felt seen rather than judged. As they prepared to leave the cafe, people around them watched with quiet curiosity, unaware of the true nature of what they had witnessed. To them, it was just a well-dressed man helping a homeless woman, but for Lily, it felt like stepping out of a long, dark tunnel into uncertain light. Ava gently handed Lily a warm coat from the car, and the simple gesture made her eyes sting with emotion. The Mafia boss paused at the door and reminded Lily that this chance came with expectations, honesty, effort, and self-respect. Lily nodded firmly, promising she would not waste it. That night, as Lily was driven away from the bus stop she once called home, she looked out the window at the streets that had shaped her pain and strength. Fear and hope mixed in her heart, but one thing was clear, a single honest decision had changed her path forever. The Mafia boss watched the car disappear into traffic, feeling a quiet satisfaction he had not felt in years. Power had brought him many things, but in that moment, he realized that choosing kindness might be the most unexpected and powerful act of all. In the weeks that followed, Lily's life began to change in ways she had never imagined, and the transformation was both surprising and profound. Grace found her a small apartment, modest but warm, with clean sheets and running water, luxuries that Lily had not experienced in years. For the first time in her life, she had a place that was truly hers, a space where she could rest without fear of the night or the cold. Ava visited frequently, bringing clothes, helping her navigate city paperwork, and even teaching her how to manage a bank account and use a phone properly. At first, Lily felt awkward and unsure, still carrying the habits and fears of street life. But slowly, she began to feel capable, confident, and even hopeful. Every morning she woke up with a sense of purpose she had thought lost forever. The Mafia boss continued to influence her life quietly. He did not flaunt his wealth or power, nor did he make dramatic gestures. Instead, he ensured that Lily's transition was stable and that she had the tools to sustain herself. He offered her a position at a bakery owned by a trusted family friend, a legal business that required honesty, hard work, and patience, qualities he now knew Lily possessed in abundance. Lily was hesitant at first, feeling unworthy of such an opportunity, but when she saw the trust in the Mafia boss's eyes, she understood that this was not charity, it was a chance to prove herself. With guidance from Grace and support from Ava, she learned to bake, manage customers, and even handle simple accounts, discovering skills she had never imagined she had. Each day was challenging, but each small success strengthened her resolve. Over time, Lily became more than just an employee, she became a symbol of resilience and honesty in her community. Customers loved her warmth and sincerity, and her story, though not widely publicized, inspired those who knew it. She never forgot her past, leaving food outside the bakery every night for those still struggling on the streets, small gestures of compassion that reflected the kindness she had been shown. Her gratitude extended beyond simple words, she lived it through her actions. For the Mafia boss, seeing her thrive was a quiet satisfaction he had never experienced with money, power, or fear. He realized that sometimes the most impactful actions were not about control or dominance, but about giving someone a chance when they had already proven their worth through honesty. Months later, Lily reflected on her journey and realized how profoundly one act had changed everything. Returning the wallet, something that seemed so small at the time, had led her to safety, stability, and dignity. She had gone from being invisible to being respected, not because she had begged or manipulated, but because she had done the right thing when it mattered most. And the Mafia boss, the man whose life was defined by rules, power, and intimidation, had been quietly reminded of the human value of honesty and integrity. Their lives had intersected in a way that neither could have predicted, showing that sometimes, the most shocking events are not violent or dramatic, but moments where unexpected kindness and courage meet, changing lives forever. Lily continued to flourish, never forgetting the lessons of the streets, the pain that had shaped her, or the act of trust that had given her a second chance. And though the city around them remained the same, busy, harsh, and indifferent, the bond formed through a simple act of returning a wallet proved that human decency, even in the smallest form, could ripple outward and transform destinies in ways no one could foresee. From that day forward, honesty, courage, and compassion were not just abstract ideas for Lily, they became the foundation of a life she had once thought impossible.